All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry about that last one. I noticed there was a big old logo in front of the video and was preventing you guys from seeing the presentation. So, again, hello. My name is Aarius Dumas. I am owner of First Refund Income Tax Service, and I'm conducting what I refer to as a Tax Industry Informational. So, for all those who thought it would be clever to either start preparing tax returns or get into the industry in any form or fashion, I thought this would be a good starting place for someone in that situation, and I hope to, spark an interest in anyone who's viewing and listening, and potentially do business together in the future. You know, we can grow together. There's enough business for everybody. So here we go. Tax Industry Informational. Feel free to type in any questions as they come about. I'm going to share this on my wall. Basically, let me see. Share it to a page. Share it to a group. 1 second. I'm going to share it to. Just a second. All right. I just wanted to share it to my wall. Okay. So, mind you, this is informal. I'm just trying to have a little structure to it. Tax Industry Informational. All right. First Refund is a professional income tax service offering convenient, affordable, and accessible tax preparation to both individuals and corporations nationwide. Customers are provided with accurate service, easy pay options, and complimentary cash advances of up to in excess of $1,000. Visit us at firstrefund.com. All right, that's a little bit about our company. Nothing major there. All right, a little bit about me. As the principal of First Refund Limited and Air Financial Partners, Aarius holds an associate degree from DeVry University in electronics and computer technology. Since graduating, he has started several service-oriented businesses while leveraging his technical expertise. So basically, I'm a nerd. All right, moving on. All right. So, tax business informational. Have you always wanted to start a career in the professional tax business, but didn't know how to determine if it was in fact for you? In this informational, I'm going to discuss and walk through some of the details necessary to start on this path and assist you with making the first steps. So, but like I said, if you got any questions, just chime in at any time, Okay, the occupational outlook, okay? So the Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes data that they gather from census in regard to certain job titles and industries in this country. So one of the points of one of the things that they collect data on is the wages. How much people make in this industry, how many employees or professionals are actually working in this industry. And what we're going to do now is go to the website and actually look at some of that information. All right, so here we have it. Occupational employment statistics for tax preparers. So in the year 2017, there were 68,720 around this country. The mean hourly wage was $22.64. The mean annual wage was $47,090. If you scroll down a little bit, 10% of all the professionals in this industry made $9.70 an hour, where the vast majority, or 90%, made $39.30 an hour. Or, oh, I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. The 90th percentile of people made $39.30 an hour, or up to $81,000 a year, whereas the 10th percentile made close to $10 an hour and about $20,000 a year. This page has lots of information. I will be sure to share the link in the comments so you can actually peruse through it. I mean, it's very long and very detailed, and this is what I would like to go through. So if you continue reading for this particular industry, let me see. If you scroll down to the map, there's a high concentration of tax professionals in areas shaded as green. And so I'm actually in Columbus, Ohio here. So there's a high concentration of preparers here in Ohio. Let me see, and they make an average of $46,890 here in Ohio. So which is about in the middle. So if you were to venture and start working in this industry as a career, you could expect to make that amount of money a year, under ideal circumstances. States with the highest employment level in this occupation overall, you got California, Texas, Illinois, Florida, and New York. I chuckle because I know this firsthand. So these people, I mean, mind you, California and Texas are the largest states, and they encompass more than double what the next runner-up, which is Illinois, Florida, and New York, bring to the table in terms of employment. So keep that in mind if you're looking to have a large client base. Consider whether moving or doing business in a state with so many professionals would be wise. If there's already 10,710 professionals in that state, maybe you can do better in a state with not as many professionals, like maybe New York. So moving on, the hourly wage is also dependent on how many. Well, if you look at this chart right here, California being the largest in terms of how many employees work in the industry, shoot, they make also the highest hourly rate, close to $30 an hour, with an annual mean wage of $61,000. I mean, that's huge. Going down to the second biggest, you're getting $24 an hour and about $50,000 a year. Something special about New York in that even though it's the fifth largest state for tax preparers in terms of quantity and number of preparers and professionals working in the field, they do bring in the third amount of hourly wage and yearly annual income. So I think that's because of the cost of living there in that area. Okay, moving down the list here, location quotient of tax preparers by state. I'm not sure what that is actually talking about. I'm gonna have to look that up. States with the highest concentration of jobs and location quotients. So let me see here. Oklahoma, Alaska, South Dakota, Idaho, Louisiana. So I don't know what they're saying when they're saying location quotient. I don't use that terminology. I have to look that word up, get my vocab up, and hit you back on that one. So it says employment per thousand jobs is 0.90. So I'm not sure what exactly that's saying. Well, I'll come back to it later. Annual mean wage of tax preparers by state. So as you see here, the darker the color, the more money they make. So they're making a lot of money in New York, a lot of money in Minnesota, lots of money going on in Texas, Colorado, Utah, California, Alaska, and Oregon. And so when you're looking at these statistics, it's always fun to kind of go back and forth in your mind as to what is contributing to such an increase. And mind you, I mean, they're making anywhere from $48,000 to $107,000 in any one of these states. Top paying states for this occupation, that would be the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., Colorado, that's where a lot of the marijuana stuff is going on, Massachusetts, California, Oregon. Uh, all these states have peculiarities that stand out in the mind, just based off of culture, uh, some things that are going on with their laws, like for example marijuana. I'm not sure if that's the reason why. I mean, California, I mean, you got Hollywood there, Texas, I mean, you got a lot of the oil rigs there, Alaska, same thing there, that are pretty unique to these areas. And so um, when you do your research, it's good to kind of look at those markets in depth, and that's something that we can do at a later time to see exactly what the wage earners or why the wage earners are such that they need a really robust preparer population there. Their tax situation is such that in Texas, California, Utah, Oregon, Colorado, New York, Minnesota, Washington D.C., Massachusetts, such that you need a lot of preparers, and so they're able to command a higher wage there. So that's how you got to think of it. Washington D.C. is a lot of politicians, a lot of lobbyists there. So different type of tax situations require people who need these services to pay more, and that's what I'm thinking of when I look at Washington D.C. Colorado. I mean, that's where all the marijuana stuff is going on at, etc. But you can make your own. You can draw your own conclusions, but you have to kind of research them, and that's kind of what we're doing now. Okay, so employment of tax preparers by area. So check this out. This picture and this chart lists the metropolitan areas with the highest employment level in this occupation, and this is like my favorite one. So check this out. Los Angeles, Long Beach, Glendale, California metropolitan area, they have a high concentration of tax professionals. Out of that, I think it was like 10,000 that we saw on the list before, 10,710. You got 3,250 in the Los Angeles, Long Beach, Glendale area. They call it the metropolitan area, and so that's a high concentration. So let's click on it. Oh, I'm gonna go back. So somewhere in here, somewhere up in there, and you have a lot of professionals in that area, in that general vicinity. Employment per 1,000 jobs is 0.73. So yeah, and then the hourly mean wage is $28.73, and the annual salary is about 60,000. Moving down the list, you'll see Chicago, Naperville, Arlington Heights, New York, New Jersey, Houston, etc., going down the list as the highest dense population of tax professionals in those areas, which is great. So moving down the list, metropolitan areas with the highest concentration of jobs and location quotients in this occupation. So the number of professionals and the number of professionals in an area, and then the number of actual jobs in a certain area. So we have in Warner Robins, Georgia, 210 for employment. Employment per 1,000 jobs. And then the hourly mean wage is $10.85, and the annual salary $22,500. So you're likely to find a job in taxes. It may not pay as much, but in Warner Robins, Georgia. So from a business standpoint, since the number of jobs there is plenteous, the wage that you pay these employees goes down. So if you're looking to start a business, that would be a market to do it in, because the wage workers don't charge as much. They don't demand as much. So moving on, Annual mean wage of tax preparers. All right. The top paying metropolitan areas for this profession is Oakland, Hayward, Berkeley, California. I mean, these people are bringing in an average of $41 an hour and $85,000 a year. Uh, I'm delighted to know that in Dayton, Ohio, they're making close to 40 bucks an hour and about $82,000 a year. So if you're trying to get your money, shoot, come on up to Dayton. So moving down the list, areas with the highest employment in this occupation: so West Texas region, South Dakota. Let me see, Southwest Maine, Southern Indiana, Western Pennsylvania. So all these you can get, and I'll put the link of this page in the comments so you can refer to it. Very, very handy, very useful. Definitely want to understand the Bureau of Labor Statistics as it pertains to this industry of tax professionals. All right, moving on. Some of the industry changes over the years. So taxes wasn't what it used to be. Back in the day, you had to fill out tax forms by hand. It was a paper process. There was no using the computer to file returns. You were actually using a typewriter, and you would fill it out, and then you would mail it out, similar to the postcard that they are coming out with here recently. It was that way. And so sometime in the early 80s, they came out with a system called e-file. And so the way it worked was you would use a computer program, and you would compile the return, and you would send the finished return to something called a service bureau. Now the service bureau was key, and they were location oriented. So you had a service bureau the way they set up data centers on the internet. So it was all based on the location. And so for example, Ohio may have had its own service bureau. Georgia may have its own service bureau. You wanted to send it to the closest one. And then on regular intervals, these service bureaus would take all the tax returns they've accumulated from the different tax professionals in the area, and then transmit them en masse to the IRS. We've since gotten away from that and gone into what the business refers to as a modernized e-file system. So a modernized e-file stands for electronic file, and modernize means it's just modernized. You essentially work with a tax office or a tax professional. They compile your return as they typically would in times past, but nowadays they can transmit the return directly to the IRS. Now, in order to prevent any fraud, you have to go through a robust background check and a vetting process before the IRS grants you this permission to be what they refer to as an authorized e-file provider. However, once you do, you will be able to get an acknowledgement on all the returns that you submit via this system. This helps you in many ways build your business and retain clients. You're able to affirm to the client that, hey, not only is your tax return done, but it's actually been transmitted and accepted by the IRS, so they can rest at ease knowing that everything's taken care of with their taxes. All right, moving on. So the breakdown is, like I said before, tax client goes to a tax preparer who works in a local office, who deals with who sends the return to the Internal Revenue Service. That's kind of like the food chain. You can either be a paid preparer or a volunteer preparer. Now the volunteer preparer, it doesn't change the process. It's just there's certain rules applied to paid preparers that don't apply to volunteer preparers, and there's certain opportunities to monetize your business as a paid preparer that aren't available as a volunteer preparer. If you want more information about that, just comment in the section below, and I can go into detail for you. So where do you fit in? So Learning about your personal aptitudes, your strengths and weaknesses is key to choosing the right career in the tax business. We start by analyzing these things. So let's do an assessment. So what you're going to do is you're going to refer to the link in the description, or excuse me, in the comments, and you're going to pause this video and you're going to take the assessment. But since this is live, I'm gonna just I'll cycle through it, but I think I'm only able to do a 10-minute live. So let me double check. I think I'm only allowed to do 10 minutes, and I'm like at 20 minutes right now. Oh my goodness, I've been yapping that long. Okay, so yeah, it looks like I'm only able to do 20. I don't know, I thought it was only able to do 20 minutes, so I'll let it keep rolling. I'm gonna click on this link and go through this personality assessment. Now this is a little goofy. It's just a resource I found on the internet. You don't have to use this particular personality assessment. You may be familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality assessments. Essentially, you learn to weigh these assessment summaries with different scenarios that may potentially happen to you in business, and then from that you determine if it'll be prudent to go in a certain part of the business as opposed to another. And so let's go through a quiz real quick. And so don't fault me if I fail this assessment, you know what I mean. But someone you work with comes to you with a personal problem. You are secretly annoyed. Tell them politely that you don't have time for this and direct them to someone else. B, try to cheer them up. C, put work aside, sit down with them, listen and empathize. D, try to work out a logical solution to their problem. I'm like a C. I care about people. You've been invited to a party where there will be many people that you don't know. You try to squeeze in a quick visit to distribute some business cards. B, see this as a great networking opportunity and end up entertaining a circle of people around you. C, go spend the night chatting to one or two people on your wavelength. D, avoid it if you can. Crowds of people leave you cold. I'm typically a B. People think I'm pretty interesting, but I'm just a nerd. Alright, moving on. You are choosing a horse at the Grand National. You, follow the bookie's favorite. B, seek out a tip from friends in the know. C, choose one whose name you like. And D, do some research and work out the odds yourself. That's a good one. I'm not really into horse racing. Shoot, so I would probably be I would probably be open to any kind of idea. So I'll probably follow the bookie's favorite. If there are objects around your workspace to inspire you, they would A, reminders of past successful projects or campaigns, inspirational photos such as space flights, mountain climbers, or tropical islands, green plants, photos of family, partner, friends, or pets, or D, something quirky, rare, such as miniature train models or antique matchboxes. I'll probably say something successful that I've done right. If you were to invent a board game, it would be one that was highly competitive, but where the rules were clearly understood. B, involved taking risk and or using your imagination. C, involved teamwork. D, relied on deductive reasoning skills. I would say involved taking risks. Your motto in life could well be A, you only get what you put in. B, reach for the stars. C, take time out to smell the roses. Or D, all of life is a solvable riddle. I would say A. Your friends and colleagues would describe your attitude at work as driven, sometimes over the top. B, more like creative play than work. C, slightly less important than the people involved. And D, also your hobby. I'm split between A and D. I don't like to stress myself over stuff, so I'd say also my hobby. Yep. Also my hobby. Okay. If pushed to make a decision quickly, typically you would be able to do so without any stress. Keep asking questions and change your mind a few times. C, feel slightly frustrated and ask others for advice. Or D, wait until you had all the facts then decide. I lean towards waiting till I get all the facts. Your attitude towards email. A useful tool to get information across quickly. B, an excellent way to expand ideas and to get them to many people at once. C, a necessary evil. You prefer face-to-face communication. And D, an ideal way to deal with people and projects without the face-to-face. I see it as a necessary evil. I like talking to people in person. If you had one weakness, your family and friends would say it was A, not knowing how to slow down and relax. B, not following through on what you say you will do. C, being too modest or letting others take the credit. Or D, not showing your feelings enough. I would say maybe A, because they've actually said that before. Alright, gang, so for my answers, you sound like you could be a go-getter. Okay, well, I better be. Go-getter types have a single-minded focus on their objectives and will do whatever it takes to achieve them. Fast-moving and fast-talking, they want to get things done quickly, determined in their drive towards success. Go-getter types have a single-minded focus on their objectives and will do whatever it takes to achieve them. Fast-moving and fast-talking, they want to get things done quickly, determined in their drive towards success. They thrive on a challenge and are able to juggle several projects at once. They are organized and efficient, and whether a company person or self-employed, they work and play hard. They have a practical approach to life, and often the ends will justify the means. They know how to get the best out of coworkers, understanding their individual talents. They approach others in a straightforward manner, valuing competence, efficiency, and effectiveness. They know that you only get out of life what you put in. So some of the strengths of a go-getter: go-getters get results, take the initiative, have great energy and enthusiasm, are persistent, driven, and see things through. Some possible weaknesses: at times go-getters may become impatient with the slowness or faults of others. They may run over others who are slower to act and speak. They can also become bored quickly by routine process. That's me, actually. So as you can see, taking the assessment is very helpful to kind of get a working understanding of how you would respond in certain situations, with the understanding that you want to find how you operate in a business setting, being that you're wanting to get into the tax business. Many of these scenarios could happen as you conduct your business in a tax office, or anywhere you're deciding to work in your tax related career. So moving on. So keep that in mind. This isn't the law here. We're not talking about diagnosing you with a personality problem or anything like that. It's just a fun way to understand, like your temperament and potentially any hangups that could arise if you were put in a situation in your tax career. Alrighty. Assessment review. So we want to determine what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your aptitudes, which part of the business suits your personal strengths, aren't much hindered by your weaknesses, and complements your aptitudes. And then finally, which plan of action would most likely lead to success for the individual. So for me, being that I'm a go-getter, shoot, the sky's the limit. It just depends on how long I'm willing to go for it. I have an issue, according to the personality assessment, with people who may not take the initiative, or essentially who are opposite of me. So I have to learn how to interface with people who are competent enough to work with those individuals and be patient with them, being that I value competency. So I have to surround myself in a work environment with people who are competent and who are go-getters, and who don't lack those weaknesses that I have, or excuse me, who don't have those weaknesses that I have, so that if I'm working with people, they will feel valued, and everybody will just be positive and be productive. Let me see. Also, that means I'm good at creating the process. You know what I'm saying? Because I like efficiency. I value efficiency, and I put a lot of resources in creating or in maintaining that level of proficiency and efficiency. So that definitely fits my personality, being that I have a IT background, and I leverage technology as much as I can. With technology, it takes the human error out of it. You know what I mean? So the assessment was spot on for me. And so using a mixture of technology and leveraging it, and surrounding myself with competent individuals who can do the things that I may be weak at personally, I think I'll have a winning team at reaching. If I don't reach the star, I might reach the moon. You know, so that means I could probably run my own tax business or run an office for someone who entrusted me with the responsibilities and things of that nature. So if that's you, you know, congratulations. You know, let's talk about getting you on board and working with First Refund. If that's not you, you know, maybe you have a personality where, you know, it's opposite. You know, we will have to talk about it. So in the comments, just maybe copy and paste what the assessment said about you, and then, you know, we can discuss that at a later time. All right. Choosing the best path. If one part of the business is a better fit for your aptitudes and your situation, I put the same thing twice. Sorry about that, guys. Or if your circumstances are suitable for the part of the industry you want to participate in. So this isn't set in stone. This is just you're just deliberating in your own mind. So, and you know what it is that you can handle, depending on your personality assessment, and depending on your own resources and your circumstances, because you may have the temperament to do to run a whole office, for example, or a whole chain of offices, for example, or you may have the temperament to do work in an office and work with a manager, work with a team of preparers. However, if you don't have the time, then none of that even matters, you know. So we want to choose the best path for you. In the tax business, you have people who work in a corporate setting. You have people who work in a private office. I have people who work in their own kitchen. You know, you can make it work because everybody needs their taxes done. You know, I know people who work and do returns out of a car dealership. People who do taxes out of a beer and wine carryout. Yes, oddly enough, there's no law against doing taxes and drinking beer. You know, so have at it. You know, work with what your personality will allow and your circumstances will be flexible with, and you can find success. Okay. All right, moving on. Moving on. Okay. So the next.
Gather around the Snapchat, children. I'll tell you the tale.
Okay, so the next step would be learn about starting a career with First Refund. Now, in order to do that, we will talk about your assessment, because we definitely want to know what your strengths are, and we definitely want to know what your aptitudes are and what some of your strengths are, and then we will discuss a path for you, and kind of go from there. You know, nothing set in stone. It's fun discovering the opportunity out there. I know for me, before I was heavy in the tax business, I was doing websites for people, and I didn't see how a website guy could get into the tax business, you know. But you know, you really can. Tax business is a customer service oriented business on one side, and then it's an IT business on another side, and it's up to you to decide which side you want to be on. And so I like to leave it at that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. My number is 614-404-7082. Hit me up on Facebook or on this page, and I'll be happy to reach out, and we can chop it up and you know, learn how we can work together. All right. So take care until next time. Visit us at firstrefund.com.